Find out what these guys did during the offseason. It's a behind-the-scenes look at the Blue Jays. And Pedro got punked last night by J-Lo and the O's in Baltimore. Hey, no need to lose your cool. A special one-hour edition of Sportsnet News is next.
From the Sportsnet studios, here is Jason Portuondo.
Welcome to our special one-hour preview show as we count down to the start of the Jays in 04. I'm Jason Portuondo. Now, coming up on the program, we will have a full pregame and preseason analysis. We'll also touch on the NHL playoff matchups with our John Garrett. And Brad Fay will join us from Augusta National as we look ahead to Mike Weir's return to the Masters. But first, we're talking baseball as we check in with the guys who will call today's game in high def. Rob Faulds and John Cerruti are inside Skydome where the lid, yes, is closed, even though it's supposed to be spring. Guys, I guess this is why they call it Baseball North.
Oh, exactly, Jason. You pack your parka when you go to the ballpark, doesn't everybody? It's a pleasure to be back with Baseball on Rogers Sportsnet, 120 games with John Cerruti. I'm Rob Faulds, and there's always that anticipation about a brand new season. And I think everybody's pumped with the Blue Jays for 2004, and why not? The Cy Young Award winner from 2003 is going to start it all off.
Yeah, he finished it up last year, won his 22nd game, won 22 games last year. Roy Halladay has emerged in the last couple of years as one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. He won his first American League Cy Young Award last year. Had a slow start to the season. Remember, he did not win in the first month of the season, but then he got hot, reeled off 15 straight decisions without losing, finished very strong in the month of September. And for the second straight season, he led the American League in innings pitched.
That was his final game of the year, saluting the crowd. It was a season to remember, 22-7, 9 complete games, led the way in innings pitched. And, of course, September was so very strong. Roy was asked whether or not he could improve on 2003 this time around.
You know, there's no question. I think a lot of times it comes from the person, are they willing to continue to work to stay there, or are they satisfied? And I think for me it's always trying to do something to get better and keep working. So that's my biggest concern, is making sure I don't get satisfied and comfortable and keep working hard.
I think that there's a pretty good chance that Roy Halladay won't get too comfortable, but he will have some new cast of characters. You see Halladay at the top of the order in 2003, Towers at the bottom, and in the Blue Jays pitching sandwich, they have a new filling.
Yes, gone are Escobar, Lytle, and Hendrickson. Welcome Miguel Batista, Ted Lilly, the left-hander, and Pat Hinken has pitched okay during spring training. But these three pitchers, especially Miguel Batista, really perform a solid 2, 3, and 4 behind Roy Halladay. This is a revamped rotation, an improved rotation. They still got to go do it between the lines.
And a full house on hand because they have a doctor's appointment. Doc Halladay will get the ball against Jason Johnson, one of the many new men on the Tigers for 2004. He was with the Orioles last year. He was 10-10. So, John, as we get ready for 2004, what more could you ask for than Roy Halladay starting it all off?
Opening day is the best day of the season.
Well, I hope we can say that at the end of September as well. We're ready to go at the ballpark. Jason?
All right, thanks very much, guys. New uniforms, new players, and even a new-look manager. You got it. While the Jays head into this season with several key changes on the field, you'll also notice a difference with Carlos Tosca. The skipper shed 10 pounds over the winter thanks to lifting weights, running, and a protein diet. So with the manager leading the way, yes, the team is healthy and ready to contend in the AL East. Last season, only Boston and Atlanta scored more runs than Toronto. The club finished up with 86 victories, their best total since 1998. The Jays ended up 15 games behind the Yankees and 9 back of the Red Sox in the AL East, which remains the toughest division in baseball.
A lot of things can happen in a game, and it all boils down to the guy that's on the mound. You can go out and get this player, and you can go out and get that player, but the guy that's the deciding factor in any baseball game 95% of the time is the pitcher.
Ted Lilly, changed up and struck him out.
Pitchers like Ted Lilly, when they reach the age of 27, 28 years old is when they come into their own. I would be very surprised if Ted Lilly doesn't have a real breakout year.
4 home runs in 4 consecutive at-bats. Just an amazing night, an amazing feat by Carlos Delgado.
In 2003, Carlos Delgado set a team record with 145 RBI. He's also the Jays' career leader in homers and ribbies.
Number one goal right now is staying healthy. I mean, I always say that if you can stay healthy and have a pretty good approach and don't try to do too much, I mean, numbers are going to take care of themselves. Obviously, I know that at the end of the year, this is the last year of my contract, but it doesn't do me any good to think about it all the time. All I'm going to do is just play. And you know what? It's so funny. I don't even have to think about it. You guys remind me every single day, So all I'm thinking about is going out there and playing the game.
And the pitch. He struck him out. And the Yankees have clinched the American League East Championship.
New York, Boston, Toronto, Baltimore, Tampa Bay. For the last 6 years, this has been the order of finish in the AL East. In 2004, the Jays want to change this.
Health-wise, and everyone just having solid years, their track record years, I think we can surprise a lot of people. And if we would win 90 to 92 games, it would not surprise me whatsoever.
Baseball is a game that should be played and not practiced. And, it comes this point in time of the spring where the players start to get anxious.
I think we had a good spring. We did what we needed to do. We got our work done, but it's time to get real now.
Well, the boys aren't the only ones ready to play for real. So is our Sportsnet analyst when it comes to baseball. Warren Saku, good to see you, bro.
Good to be back. Great. Exciting for opening day.
And when I see you, that means spring is on the way, although you can't tell by the temps outside. The Blue Jays, I don't care what the sport is, a track sport, whatever, you got to have that good start. The Blue Jays haven't really had that in the past seasons. This year, Tosca wants his boys to start well and keep it going.
Talked to Carlos Tosca, and he really talked about getting off to a strong April. Last 2 years, 18 and 34 in April. Listen to J.P. Ricciardi talk down at the field yesterday. He said he'd love to be around the 500 mark coming out of April. Last year, we know that it was a big May for them, 21 and 8. But if they can get off to a good start today, Doc Holliday on the mound, they got the race. They brought in some guys to bolster him. If they can get off to that type of start, Jason, that's what they're going to look for to launch them into this season.
Track sports, they always tell you the start is imperative. We'll see how the Jays get out of the blocks. Another key to success for the good teams is beating the good teams, but also beating the bad teams. Now, the Jays have a tendency to bring it when they got the powerhouses like the New York Yankees and like the Boston Red Sox, but then some of the lesser knowns, they seem to be a little bit less intense against them, and that sometimes hurts.
Well, it does sometimes hurt, and you look at some of the records that they had last year, 9 and 10 against the Yankees, 9 and 10 against the Red Sox, 11 and 8 against Baltimore. But take that to the other side or the flip side. Some of the teams that you want to be winning against, Tampa Bay, 8 and 11 last year, Chicago, 3 and 6. They need to step it up against these teams, and that was one of the keys that J.P. Ricciardi said. Let's we do well against these tough teams, and we love being in the American League East, but let's step it up. Let's win a few more of those games, and those blown saves in the bullpen, they talked about that as well. That's one of those big things that they're going to have to work on this year.
Quick word about that. Lightenberg, will he help out in that respect?
Definitely. I watched him in spring training. He has a devastating pitches, inside, outside fastball, good slider, comes at the pitchers. Gil Patterson talks about aggressive, hunting-type pitchers. He's that type of guy.
Good news is you're not done. Stay right here. We'll hear more from Warren a little bit later on in the program. Right now, we head back to the Dome and check in with our Sean McCormick. He's standing by with Blue Jays shortstop Chris Woodward.
All right, thanks. Here with Chris Woodward. Chris, it's been a few seasons of rebuilding here. Maybe time to make a charge here now for the Jays?
Yeah, definitely. I think everybody's real positive in the clubhouse right now, and we're ready to give this thing a go.
Chris, what do you guys take out of spring training? Was there something that you saw there that provided reason for optimism?
I just think our attitude as a team. I think even in spring training, we wanted to win every game, and we're going to take that right into the season, and everybody's excited.
Talked to a lot of the players. They say they're very impressed with what JP did in the offseason. What impressed you the most?
Just with the guys he brings in. I mean, not only are they talented, but they're, everybody's basically on the same page. Like everybody gets their work done, and we all see eye to eye on the way we want to get it done. And that's huge. Team chemistry is. I've never been on a team like this before, and it makes a huge difference.
And especially in the American League East, you got to have that chemistry because there's a little bit of talent there.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing we look at. We look at the Yankees and the Red Sox and even the Orioles and the Devil Rays. I mean they're we feel like we have a stronger core amongst our guys, and that'll put us right over the edge.
Chris, I appreciate this.
Thanks a lot.
All right, Mick, the Jays and Tigers from Skydome right here on Rogers Sportsnet. We've got your back right up until that opening pitch. Player intros, by the way, come your way in about 45 minutes from now, be sure to stay tuned following the game for another look at the off-season. The one-hour documentary with an exclusive look at how the Jays prep for the upcoming season. And we're so good, we'll give you a sneak peek later on in the show. Right now, back to Sunday Night Baseball. Red Sox and the Orioles. Pedro Martinez, an ERA of 6.75 in the preseason. Wow, bottom of 2. It's a newly acquired Javi Lopez. First pitch he sees, he's all over it. And like a disobedient dog, he's leaving the yard. 1-0 Orioles, and oh yeah, Pedro, you just got punked. 2 batters later, he decides to plunk somebody. David Segui goes down in a heap. Next batter, Larry Bigby, a little shaken, the number back to the pitcher. Martinez checks the red at second and then tosses it away at first. Jay Gibbons scores, and all of a sudden it's 2-0 Baltimore. Top of 3 now, it's 3-0 O's. Manny Ramirez singles off Sidney Ponson, literally. Pokey Reese can run. Red Sox trail 3-1. Pedro then settles down. Pedro like we know him. The gas on Luis Matos. Then Larry Bigby just watches. Martinez, 6 strong innings, striking out 5. Bottom of 7 now, 4-1 Orioles. Runners on the corners. That shot off Mike Timlin. Lopez again, chopping at the gap this time. Must be those new ads. Teata and Palmeiro complete the purchase of Sale. 6-1 Baltimore, they go on to take it 7-2. Pedro Martinez, all of last year, did not give up a home run to a right-handed batter. This year, you saw it happen already. Last night, Javi Lopez doing the damage. Time for a break, but still lots to come. It's playoff time, so we've got some seasoning for you as we dish the dirt with our John Garrett. Plus, we'll explain the connection between George Knudson and Mike Weir at this year's Masters. Plus, we've got lots more from Skydome. Oh yeah, it's opening day for the Jays, so keep it here.
This edition of Sportsnet News, brought to you by Maxwell House, good to the last drop. And by the new CIBC Aventura Gold Visa Card. Journey beyond the familiar.
Introducing the Home Gardener Gutter Blaster. Its water pressure trigger and changeable nozzle let you do anything from watering hanging plants to full-scale jet blasting. Plus it extends, so you can clean your eaves with ease. You can only get the Gutter Blaster at your local home hardware or home building center. And, like every quality home gardener tool, it's fully guaranteed. Get it today for only $19.97. Home Hardware. Help is close to home.
Remember experiencing the freedom of your first credit card? Today there's the RBC Visa Platinum Avion card. Air travel reward points you don't just accumulate. Points you can use whenever you want. To actually fly. It's another way RBC puts you first. RBC Royal Bank. First. For you. What's really important in building something better? For RBC, it's you, our client. Good things happen when our strength works for you. Remember the first time you experienced the freedom of accessing your money outside bank hours? Today, specialists in mortgages, investments, and insurance come to you. But it doesn't matter how often we're first, unless it puts you first. RBC Financial Group. First. For you.
Okay, let's go. Come on, Grandma. Come on.
If life were like that, you wouldn't need a Visa card for airline tickets.
Canadian Club Best Shots is now over, thanks to everyone who entered. Log on to Sportsnet.ca to see the play that viewers voted as the best shot of the season. Also, be sure to check the contest webpage shortly to see if you're the winner of the grand prize of a private box suite for you and 9 friends to cheer on your home team, or the secondary prize winner of a 27-inch digital television or Sportsnet prize packs. Canadian Club Best Shots, brought to you by Canadian Club. 151 countries, one ride. No purchase necessary, must be legal drinking age.
Welcome back. It's not all about baseball today. Tonight on Rogers Sportsnet, part of our Monday Madness is the NC2A Frenzy Finale. Number 3, G-Tech taking on number 2, UConn. The action gets underway at 9 Eastern, 7 Mountain, 6 Pacific. We got to talk some hockey. Who better to help us out than our hockey analyst, John Garrett? And JJ, playoffs, obviously a huge time of year, and we do have some Canadian matchups, which is always good to see. Let's begin in the East with the Leafs and Sens for the 4th time now in the last 5 years. What do you foresee happening in this one?
Well, I know everybody is here in Toronto is picking the Leafs, but I like the Senators in this one, and the reason why the Senators played very well down the stretch, except for that last game. And people look at that last 6-0 game and say, well, how can you say the Senators can win? Well, Patrick Lalime didn't play in those games. They played 10 of their last 13 games on the road, and the Senators got points in 5 of their last 6 when they needed to. And then against the Leafs, their backup goalie ran out of gas. I don't think he's that good. If they have to go to Martin Prusik, then I think the Leafs will win. But Patrick Lalime is supposed to come back. He's practicing with the team. If he comes back, I like Ottawa Senators in 6.
Okay, let's go from the East to the West now. Another all-Canadian affair. The Canucks playing the Flames, and the Canucks really playing better than I thought they would down the stretch, obviously with the loss of Todd Bertuzzi. Who do you favor in this matchup?
It's really hard to pick, and it's too bad that the Canadian teams are playing each other. Because I think Calgary would be a team that you'd have to watch out for. They don't make many defensive mistakes. But I like the Vancouver Canucks in this one. They've won 6 in a row. They're playing better as a team than they did when they had Todd Bertuzzi in. Jerome McGinley and Craig Conroy are the offensive guys for Calgary. If you can shut them down, and Vancouver has played very well defensively. They've only allowed 7 goals in their last 6 games. Dan Cloutier has been on fire. Their penalty killing has been almost flawless. They had 1 power play goal against the other night against Edmonton. But if you shut down Jerome McGinley and Craig Conroy, Mika Kiprasov has been very good. Calgary doesn't make many defensive mistakes, but they just won't be able to score enough. So I'd like the Canucks in 7 in this one.
Back to the East now, and the only Canadian team not playing another Canadian team is the Montreal Canadiens, taking on the Bruins. Good old Adams Division rivalry from the days in the past. Now, what I want to know from you is, do you think maybe we're going to see a repeat of what happened in 2002? Because that was a great season and a great series for Montreal, and Theodore was large.
He was very good in that one. But the only thing about that is that's the only playoff series that Theodore has won. And remember the series after that against Carolina.
That's true.
He wasn't very good. And going into these playoffs, he hasn't been very good. They won 1 of their last 6, and that was a 6-3 game against Buffalo that had nothing to play for. I like Boston in this one. I think Andrew Raycroft is the Rookie of the Year. The Bruins are getting everybody back for the playoffs, and I think the Bruins are a very good road team, and I think the Canadians will really have trouble.
That'll be a lot of fun. You got the top rookies in Michael Ryder for the Habs and Andrew Raycroft for the Boston Bruins. NC2A Madness is coming up tonight. It's number 2 UConn taking on number 3 UConn.
I can hardly wait.
There's no number 1s there. Is it possible in the NHL the same thing could happen? Do you have a winner in that one, by the way?
Well, I like Detroit is very good, but is Vancouver an underdog? Is Dallas an underdog? I think Dallas will really give Colorado a lot of trouble. Dallas has played since Christmas as well as anybody in the league. Are they underdogs? Detroit and Dallas. And do you bet against Marty Brodeur? Are the Devils underdogs? Because they haven't played that well during the regular season, and the Devils are prime contenders for the Cup.
I know you're a hockey guy, but I as well know you know your hoops.
Yes.
Georgia Tech or UConn tonight?
Oh, UConn. I played in Hartford for so long, you have to go with UConn.
All right, Jack Armstrong will back you up on that one because that's his pick as well. John, thanks for this. Hang around. We'll check back in with you a little bit later on in the program.
I can hardly wait.
From the ice now to the links. And before Mike Weir brought that green jacket north of the 49th, there was actually another Canadian who flirted with victory at Augusta. 35 years ago, George Knudson came within just 1 stroke of becoming Canada's first golfer to capture a major. But if you take a closer look, the similarities between the two men go deeper than just their heritage and the success at the Masters. With more from Augusta National, here's Sportsnet's Brad Fay.
No question about it, as defending champion of the Masters, Mike Weir is destined to one day be the greatest Canadian golfer of all time. But an argument might still exist. George Knudson won 8 times in his legendary career, once more than Mike Weir has managed. And also along the way, 35 years ago, Knudson finished runner-up right here at Augusta.
He liked to go underground, as he would say. You know, he if you look at him, he was very Hogan-esque in that way.
Hogan-esque. Where have we heard that recently in description of a Canadian?
Mike just goes along. You notice he doesn't get too ruffled. And George always told his caddies, don't get excited if I make a bogey, don't get excited if I make a birdie. In other words, he wanted it to be calm out there because he's got to drive the ship.
And before this,
the green jacket is going north of the border.
There was this. 35 years ago, George Knudson finished one shot back at the Masters. And while Augusta's spring of '69 happened a little over a year before Weir was born, and cancer took Knudson long before Weir even turned pro, somewhere in between, somehow, a torch was passed. Outside of the quiet, efficient games and the fact Weir's next PGA victory will pull him even with Knudson's Canadian record 8, Knudson's family has seen something else in Weir that calls to mind the Canadian legend.
I think they're both gentlemen, and they're quiet and they're proud of their country. I see that in Mike in particular. My husband his wish was always to win the Canadian Open, but no, I think they're both very proud of their country and they represented it very well. And Mike does it exceptionally well.
Struck it nicely.
I mean, records are made to be broken, and to be the son of somebody who actually could set the bar, nothing's greater than seeing somebody be inspired in some part to go to a higher level.
Knudson came within a single shot, a putt that missed by inches of taking it to the highest level in the sport. 34 years later, a Canadian finally brought the green jacket north of the border. And somewhere, says his son Paul, George was watching and not feeling sorry at all for his missed opportunity.
Other than the Canadian Open, probably his favorite golf tournament to play. And as I'd mentioned to you before, he didn't really know what he was shooting when he shot it. He was just trying his best on every shot. Maybe a little disappointment that a couple of putts didn't fall in, but you got to have a sense of humor if you play this game.
So 35 years later, the other Canadian, Mike Weir, begins his quest to win back-to-back Masters championships, and we'll be here all week to bring it to you on Sportsnet News. Right now, back to the studio.
All right, Buffet up next. Find out what makes Jays pitching coach Gil Patterson tick as we listen in. And after blowing off that budget in the offseason, the Tigers hope to catch a break with Pudge. We've got the story on Gil and Irod after these.
Final Fantasy XI Online. Rated T for teen.
One day, a child was sent into the world. A special child. A child who had a gift. He was open. The open child. He helped people, rich and poor, big and small. He connected us all together. And suddenly, he wasn't a child anymore.
Do you love what an SUV, a minivan, and a luxury sedan each have to offer?
I've got a never-ending love for you. From now on, that's all I want to do. From the first time we met,
Get all three. The Buick Rendezvous.
You push yourself during the game. Why compromise on the taste of your beer after the game? Introducing Molson Ultra, the only lower carb beer that's not a light beer. 2.5 grams of carbs, 97 calories, and still brewed full strength. Molson Ultra, real beer, fewer carbs.
Dad, what are you doing?
Just having some breakfast.
How come you're eating my Cheerios?
Well, they're good for Daddy too.
A healthy diet low in saturated and trans fats may reduce the risk of heart disease. Cheerios is low in saturated and trans fats.
Oh, hey, thank you. Hi, sweetie.
Welcome back to our special one-hour preview show here on Sportsnet News. A live look inside Skydome. The fans filing in, getting set for that 0-4 opener. The Jays taking on the Tigers. And guess who's going to be throwing out the first pitch? It's a little bit of SCTV. Canadian Eugene Levy in the house. Speaking of guys in the house, as promised, Warren Sakiu is back, our baseball analyst. And Q, earlier on in the program, we did see Chris Woodward talking to our Sean McCormick about different things during the offseason. I know you as well had a chance to speak to the shortstop. What are some of the things he worked out on during the offseason?
Well, one of the big things that he really talked about was the fact that he wanted to smooth out his infielding. Yesterday, down at practice, he was on his knees at shortstop. Brian Butterfield, the infield coach, hitting hard 1- and 2-hop ground balls, making Chris go after the ball. One of the things you'll notice with Chris Woodward, sometimes he'll lay back. He even admitted, I lay back on the AstroTurf and it cost me. And he felt that this year, if he can get into that rhythm, he learned from Mike Bordick last year. He learned from the mistakes. They broke it down. They watched the film. And I look at him and I talked to Carlos Tosca and he said, this guy has played as good a shortstop as you will see coming out of spring training.
No doubt the two, when you combine the O-Dog, Orlando Hudson, into the mix, the Blue Jays with a nice combination turning double plays. Let's go from the middle of the infield to the middle of the order now. When you talk about offense with the Jays, we know that Carlos Delgado can bring it, and he usually does. He's going to have another great year. Josh Phelps could be a surprise for the Jays. He did have a good season last year as well. But what about some perhaps surprises through the middle of the order that could step up and help out?
Well, you look at it and you talk about Josh Phelps there, and really Josh Phelps is a guy, when you watch him in spring training, you talk about the power that he's able to deliver through all fields. One of the key things that I looked at in his young career was his swing was a little bit long and tended to get underneath the ball. Now he's working with Mike Barnett, the hitting coach, on driving the ball the other way and staying through the ball. Eric Hinsky, gentleman who now last year struggled, had a great rookie season, rookie of the year in 2002. Eric Hinsky looking to come back. Won't have that broken hamate bone this year. And also, he can settle in his mind at third base working with Brian Butterfield. I believe if his defense, Jason, really starts to come into the mix for him and he starts to improve on his throwing, that it's going to help him at the plate. And I look for him to rebound off of a year last year where he struggled.
Talk a little bit about the AL East, and we know that the Yankees and the Red Sox have been the talk of the town, going back and forth, trading punches during the offseason, signing big name after big name. But what about some of the little guys? I'm looking at maybe the D-Rays surprising a little bit. The O's look good last night. I know it's just one game. And then what about the Jays? How do you see things shaking down in the AL East?
Well, I look at Tampa Bay as being one of those teams. They have Lou Piniella. He's a fiery guy. He's got some excellent B.J. Upton's a prospect in the minors that they're just waiting to bring him up. You look at some of the Fernando Tatis, if he can come back to what he did in Montreal or in St. Louis, that team can really be a pester. They've pestered the Jays. And then I look at the Jays, I'm saying, when I talked about earlier, they need to make sure that they focus on doing well against those teams that they don't necessarily always get up to or for, like they do with the Yankees and the Red Sox.
Yes or no, can they win the AL East, the Jays?
No, I don't believe they'll win the AL East, but look for them to fight for a wild card spot this year.
All right, sounds good, Warren. Thanks very much. Time for another break here on the program. Coming up next, we get an enriched view into the mind of pitching coach Gil Patterson as he shares his wealth of experience with us, and we'll give you a glimpse of a documentary you won't want to miss. Those stories are on the way, but you know you gotta stay.
This edition of Sportsnet News brought to you by Maxwell House, good to the last drop. And by the new CIBC Aventura Gold Visa card. Journey beyond the familiar.
Tough shave? New Neutrogena Razor Defense Face Lotion with soy and aloe. It instantly soothes dry skin after shaving and prevents damage caused by dryness. Defend yourself with new Neutrogena Razor Defense.
The stork, a large, wading bird. Its role in the animal kingdom, the bringer of babies. Threatened by midwives and hospitals, storks have evolved in order to survive. Now, when they deliver babies, they deliver all the baby's necessities as well. As a result,
If life were like that, you wouldn't need a Visa card for baby stuff.
Welcome back once again as we continue our one-hour preview show. Jason Portuondo along with our baseball analyst Warren Sakiu. The Jays getting set for that home opener today, kicking off 0-4 against the Detroit Tigers. Speaking of which, let's check back in at Skydome with our Sean McCormick. And Sean, we know about all the new faces in place on the field, but how about touching on the guy who helped put those new faces into place?
Yeah, thanks, Jason. The Detroit Tigers in town, obviously, this afternoon. And right now, Blue Jay fans enjoying the fruits of J.P. Ricciardi's labor. The rebuilding process well underway, and things are looking bright. Now, not so far from here, down in Detroit, allegedly a rebuilding process going on down there, but things not going quite as according to plan. However, things looking the only way they can in Detroit, and that is up. I'm here with JP Ricciardi right now. Actually, I guess we'll get to that piece in a moment. But here is JP, and JP, a lot of anticipation heading into opening day, perhaps the most in a long time.
Well, I mean, I've only been here 3 years, so I can't tell you about a long time. But I can just tell you, as long as we've been here, I think each year we've gotten better, and each year we've raised the bar, and we're going to continue to do that. And hopefully, we'll get off to a good start tonight.
Which of your postseason moves were you most pleased with coming out of spring training?
I think we're happy with all of them in the sense that, they all can help our club. And, we're not asking anybody to do anything above and beyond, just to be the players that we think that they can be, tied in with the players that we have here. And we think, it's a good mixture.
How about Simon Pond? A lot made of this kid coming out of camp. He's really not a kid. 10 years of, this is his 10th season of pro ball.
Well, I think, it's a testament to him and his hard work, his dedication and commitment to, making himself a player. All the credit goes to him, but a little bit of credit goes to Dickie Scott, our farm director, who worked him out and signed him when he could have just told him to leave the camp. And so we're really fortunate that he's here. We're lucky to have him, and it's a great story, and we're really happy for Simon.
Talk about your starting rotation, possibly the strongest in a very long time. Do you feel that way at this point?
Well, once again, I'll be able to answer that question in September, but on paper we think we got enough of a group that can go out there and give us 6-7 innings every night and give us a chance to compete.
What has impressed you about Pat Henkin to this point? He didn't necessarily put up the big stats in spring training, but is there something else that he brings to this club?
Well, he's got great work ethic. He's great around the clubhouse. And, Pat's a veteran. He deserves the benefit of the doubt on anything. And I think when the bell rings, Pat will be fine. And, we're happy to have him here. We're glad we got him. And we think he's going to be a great addition to us.
JP, good to have you and the Jays back in town. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you, JP. JP Ricciardi, general manager of the Toronto Blue Jays. Jason, let's throw it back to you.
Mick, we go from JP to GP, and yes, Gil Patterson knows pitching. After all, he used to be a prize prospect with the New York Yankees. Throwing 95 miles per hour, the right-hander, though, had his career cut short by 8 surgeries on his arm. He didn't give up, though. Instead, he learned how to throw left-handed, eventually reaching 86 on the radar gun in the minors. Today, he draws on those experiences in his role as Blue Jays pitching coach. Here's Patterson on the mic in spring training.
A pitching coach is a teacher. Just a hair slower pace, just a hair slower. And that was perfect right there. You step, turn, and broke the hands. A pitching coach is someone who needs to support his pitchers.
I told Kevin that today with nobody on, to a lefty, I might try to throw a sinker.
You comfortable with it enough?
I'm pretty comfortable.
Okay.
I'm playing catch with it enough where if I thought, if I was ahead in the count, and just try to paint with it.
That's right.
If I miss away, I miss.
Did you say one out too? If there's one, especially one out, because if he gets a hit, what do we care? We're one pitch away from double. That's all I'm saying.
I see what you're saying.
0-1, 1 out, even 0-0, 1 out.
Right.
That was it right there, wasn't it?
That was it.
That was good. And a pitching coach is kind of like a father. For the most part, you've thrown the ball very well, if not extremely well, and one day when it's not quite maybe as sharp as we should be, it's almost like, and it's not. It just means that we're human. A pitching coach is a motivator. You're all right out front with it. Come on. So when he's going away, the ball's cut back over the middle.
1-0 pitch to Guzman, strike, cut back over.
Okay. All right. A pitching coach is a psychologist. More than anything else, just for a second to kind of gather and regroup. Just for a second.
How you want to start them off?
Either way.
Either way?
What do you think?
That's fine. Let's make the pitch and we'll come back in hard.
All right.
Okay? Here we go.
How many is he throwing?
Not enough.
Big fly ball right field by Simmons. They'll just watch it off the roof.
Carlos, Tell Carlos he's done. DeJohn's in the game, okay? Okay. And we'll have a nice side 2 days from now, and then be ready with our last 7 innings against Tampa on Saturday, and be ready to go against Boston. Okay? Okay? Yeah. These guys are such competitors and want to win so badly that they lose sometimes sight of maybe where their focus should be. You and your dad talk about pitches now. Talk about the quality ones you made. Don't let go of that. Okay? You already know the game's too tough. Replay those good ones, okay? There's plenty of them. A teacher, kind of like a father. Motivator, a psychologist. Those are probably it in a nutshell.
Wow, we're joined live from Skydome now by Miss J Zone herself and Hazel. All right, teacher, father, big brother, legend, psychologist, mentor. What hat is Gil wearing today?
I think he's wearing all of them at once, but I'm going to talk to him now as the pitching coach, Jason. We are about, 25 minutes away from the first pitch. I got a couple of questions for Gil, then he's got to go because we've got Doc Holliday on the mound today. First question for you, Gil. Doc, much has been talked about Doc's new changeup. He's added a new pitch to his arsenal. How's that coming along, and can we expect to see that today?
It is coming along very well. He threw it in the spring very often. As a matter of fact, during the off season, he came to me and told me that you mentioned to him that you thought he needed another pitch. And with your insight, we both agreed. So that's when we started throwing it. And really for the last few years, he's always thrown it. He's just really getting to where he's executing it very well. And you will see it today. You're not going to see it like you do see his curveball, but you're going to see, I think, 6, 8, 10, or 12 changeups from Doc today.
You know what, Gail? People are going to look at you and go, are you crazy? This guy is a Cy Young Award winner. Why risk adding a new pitch to his arsenal when these guys, the Detroit Tigers, could just tee up on him today?
Well, the first answer to your question, am I crazy? The answer is probably yes. But second, really, it's just another weapon. It's basically a fastball with the same arm action. You just grip it differently, and when you do, the ball comes out 10 miles an hour slower. So even as low as his pitch counts were last year, it's got the possibility of even having less pitches thrown.
Well, Gil, thanks for doing this. I know you got to get back. I know you're on the run. Jason, back to you.
All right, Hazel May, opening day 2004, and yeah, the Doc is in the house. The Jays, the Tigers, doing it in high def right here on Rogers Sportsnet in about 20 minutes from now, but keep it locked as our preview show continues.
So where are we going for dinner?
It's just a little place I know. We've got the best table.
Introducing the new Chevrolet Equinox.
Honey, is the tide going out or coming in?
So you want your dear old Uncle Angus to lend you $200 till next payday? Well, let me tell you, in my day, we'd break our backs, swept chimneys, gutted fish, your father and I smashed rocks, milk goat 25 hours a day, pinched every penny, 'cause the world judges a man by the size of his sporran.
Need cash before payday? It's cheaper than you think. Check out moneymart.ca.
And don't spend it on one shop.
Canadian Club Best Shots is now over, thanks to everyone who entered. Log on to Sportsnet.ca to see the play that viewers voted as the best shot of the season. Also, be sure to check the contest webpage shortly to see if you're the winner of the grand prize of a private box suite for you and 9 friends to cheer on your home team, or the secondary prize winner of a 27-inch digital television, or Sportsnet prize packs. Canadian Club Best Shots, brought to you by Canadian Club. 151 countries, one ride. No purchase necessary, must be legal drinking age.
Hey, Randy, I need an ink cartridge.
We all have needs, Julie.
It's got sprinkles. Thanks.
Legal pads.
Can I get some pens?
I need some file folders. Half a Danish, half a folder. Say, Randy, I went to Staples.
Staples, Randy.
It was easy, Randy.
Very easy.
What do you want from me?
Cream puff.
You monster.
Staples Business Depot. That was easy.
Got plans? Big
or small, bring them to any one of more than 400 Home Building Center locations. We help turn plans into jobs well done. Home Building Center, we've got your lumber and everything else you need.
Recently, Castrol Syntec was tested against every leading brand of conventional 5W30 motor oil. It was a punishing comparison, under extreme heat and stress, beyond anything a car would ever face.
Bob, what are the readings on the other car?
In the end, under these grueling conditions, Castrol Syntec simply performed better. Castrol Syntec. Everything else is just motor oil.
We're back with more from the Diamond, and the Blue Jays obviously realize, yes, they're in tough in the AL East with powerhouses Boston and New York. We'll show you how some of the guys prep for the upcoming season, plus their lives outside of baseball. Following game day on Sportsnet, it's our one-hour documentary, The Off-Season 04 Jays.
It starts with a dream. Your dream. It's rich with passion. Your passion. It's ripe with determination and desire. Desire because you spend the extra hour in the cage while he rests. Desire because you run that extra 2 miles every morning while he sleeps. Desire because your max weight is someone else's starting set. Desire because it fuels your rage, your will to win. Winning takes place on the field, but the journey begins in the offseason.
I am Roy Halladay, Vernon Wells.
I am Pat Henkin,
Kevin Cash,
Orlando Hudson,
Chris Woodward, and this is The Off-Season.
It's must-see TV. Stay tuned post-game for another look at the off-season. A one-hour documentary with an exclusive look at how the Jays prep for the upcoming season. Right now, though, we check back in live with our Sean McCormick at the Dome. And Mick, you know it, I know it. There's always two sides to every story. And so far, it's all been about the Jays. What about the Tigers? And they're coming off that horrible season of last year.
Well, like the Jays, Jason, the Tigers are rebuilding. Jays fans obviously enjoying the rebuilding process. Tiger fans, well, it's been a tough one. They are allegedly in the midst of a rebuilding process, but things beginning to look the only way they can, and that is up.
Here's Brett Boone now with a 2-out RBI chance off the glove of Bonderman. Here comes Santiago, can't barehand it, and a run will score.
If someone tries to tell you that the slate is clean for the Detroit Tigers, don't believe them. The slate, rendered uncleanable by a 2003 team that relentlessly chiseled and hammered its way through every square inch of otherwise reusable slate, leaving in its wake 119 losses and a pile of rubble and dust where the slate once stood. The 2004 slate is not clean. It's a factory replacement.
We need to get into the season and see how things unfold and then kind of tweak things as you go along. But there's no question we have a better team.
It couldn't get much worse. The Tigers coming within a single loss of the 1962 Mets record of futility last season. That said, it was a predictably proactive offseason for the front office, attracting a surprising amount of talent to the Motor City, headed up by one of the great leaders in baseball, Ivan Rodriguez.
When you bring on the kind of players like we did in Fernando Vina and Rondell White, Carlos Guillen, Jason Johnson, and then a guy named Pudge, I think, I didn't mean to say him last, but again, I think people now look at us as a club that certainly we all know has gotten better. The question is how much better.
I just told the pitchers to have fun. You know, this is a game. And the game's supposed to be playing fun. So that's what I tell the pitcher. You know, just enjoy every moment, every pitch that you throw out there, and do the best of it.
We're feeling kind of cocky, to be honest with you. I feel like we're gonna go and score some runs. Our pitchers are doing well. So like I said, we gotta play some good defense, and things will go our way.
If there's a positive that comes out of 119 losses, it's that it makes diagnosing the problems a whole lot easier. No second guessing required.
Last year we were last in the league in runs scored by quite a bit. I think we will score more runs this year, but I think it will be important for us to do that. I think it's just a matter of overall play of the game.
Now, the hill that the Tigers must climb back to respectability is a tall one. To put in perspective just how much improving they have left to do, they can improve by 19 wins this season and still manage to lose 100 ball games. Jason?
Mick, that's ugly. Speaking of ugly, last year the Jays got beat down by the Yankees in their first 3 at home. This year they're trying to flip the script and do it to Detroit. More on that, plus some Pucks news on the other side.
Sportsnet News presents the Grand Slam of Sports Contest. Here's your chance to win 4 awesome sports holidays for each season of the year, including the Blue Jays in Puerto Rico. Watch Sportsnet News from April 5th to 30th and look for the keyword on the ticker. Then log on to sportsnet.ca for full contest details.
Recently, Castrol Syntec was tested against every leading brand of conventional 5W30 motor oil. It was a punishing comparison, under extreme heat and stress, beyond anything a car would ever face.
Bob, what are the readings on the other car?
In the end, under these grueling conditions, Castrol Syntec simply performed better. Castrol Syntec. Everything else is just motor oil.
So you want your dear old Uncle Angus to lend you $200 till next payday? Well, let me tell you, in my day, we'd break our backs, swept chimneys, gutting fish, your father and I smashed rocks, milk goat 25 hours a day, pinched every penny, 'cause the world judges a man by the size of his sporran.
Need cash before payday? It's cheaper than you think. Check out moneymart.ca.
Don't spend it on one shop.
What I want any old time. I'm free to be who I choose to get my blues any old time. I say love me forever, hold me, 'cause I'm free.
So you want your dear old Uncle Angus to lend you $200 till next payday? Well, let me tell you, in my day, we'd break our backs, swept chimneys, gutting fish, your father and I smashed rocks, milk goat 25 hours a day, pinched every penny, 'cause the world judges a man by the size of his sporran.
Need cash before payday? It's cheaper than you think. Check out moneymart.ca.
Don't spend it on one shop.
89 games were played during the 2003 NHL playoffs. Of those, 22 went into overtime. That's 5,340 minutes of regulation hockey, plus another 455 minutes of OT, for a grand total of 5,795 minutes of playoff hockey. And it was these guys that covered every minute. Now, add these experts to the team, and you can bet they'll be on top of every second, which will equal out to approximately 347,700 seconds of playoff coverage. Hockey Central, 7 days a week throughout the playoffs, beginning Wednesday at 6, 3 Pacific.
As promised, hockey analyst John Garrett is back in the house to talk more pucks. And you know what? I feel bad for Tony Granato. The Avalanche going the wrong way heading into the playoffs, and then now Paul Correa goes down.
Well, Paul Correa and the Colorado Avalanche have had problems all season long. Teemu Selanne's really been a disappointment. Correa's been hurt at the start of the year, now hurt at the end. I can't see him coming back from the injury that he suffered. The ankle goes right over, the toe of the skate catches, and I can't see him coming back. But Colorado is a deep team. They almost have too many stars. This might, in a reverse thing, if you're trying to think positively, help the Avalanche, because now he'll be able to give Forsberg and Sakic more ice.
We go from the bad to the good in a team that Colorado could have faced if Calgary would have had things work out in their way. The Flames. And what about Jarome Iginla? For the second time in 3 years, he wins the Rocket Richard Trophy, but this time he's sharing it.
He's sharing it with two guys who played on teams that had nothing to play for. And I think that's why Jarome Iginla deserves more credit than the other two guys, because they played all the time. They weren't checked. Their teams were going nowhere. Iginla and the Calgary Flames were in the hunt all year, made the playoffs. They were a team in contention. So Jarome had checkers all season long, whereas Rick Nash and Ilya Kovalchuk, they played every power play, and it didn't matter if they won or lost the games in the last half of the season because their teams were done. And yet Iginla was there and still led the league.
All right, John, looking forward to the new season right here on Sportsnet and throughout the NHL. Thanks very much for this.
Thank you, and go Jays.
All right, sounds good, and go Canucks. I know John is thinking they've got a big chance to do it. One last break here on the program. Our preview show will wrap up. After this, Eugene Levy will drop by. He's always got something good to say. You don't want to miss that.
Chocolate?
Oh, no.
rhythm and weep. Now get your gear off, loser.
Red, I don't want to show my, peanut in public.
Oh, why do I have to be with you?
M&M's. They're a handful of chocolate candy.
I'm free to do what I want any old time. I'm free to be who I choose to get my blues any old time. I say love me forever, hold me 'cause I'm free.
It's the Honda Gear Up for Spring event. Get great Honda value on the Agile CR-V and Go Anywhere Pilot, or choose the award-winning Odyssey from $348 a month.
There's nothing you and I won't do.
The Honda Gear Up for Spring event. Visit your Honda dealer now.
I'll stop the world and melt with you. I'll stop the world and melt with you.
It's the Honda Gear Up for Spring event. Get great Honda value on our world-renowned Accord or Civic, Canada's #1 selling car, from $188 a month.
There's nothing you and I won't do.
The Honda Gear Up for Spring event. Visit your Honda dealer now.
I'll stop the world and melt with you.
It's not just the advanced technology or the world's best blades. It's the way it's all put together. No razor shaves better than Mach 3 Turbo. It's the world's best shave. We guarantee it or your money back. Mach 3 Turbo from Gillette.
Hi there, this is Jody Vance. Sorry I can't come to the phone right now, but please leave a message after the tone.
Welcome back as we head back to Skydome and our Sean McCormick. And Mick, do you have any comic relief for us?
Yes, sir. Eugene Levy with me is going to throw out the first pitch. Eugene, what are you going to be throwing out there? Some junk?
Well, I thought my selection for this pitch is kind of a dirty slider. And it's something that, I've been working on, and I hope, the catcher, I haven't had a lot of time with the catcher, but, hopefully he'll be able to handle it.
How do you grip the dirty slider? Can you show us there? How exactly are you gripping that dirty slider?
I don't give away any trade secrets, because next thing you know, this is going to be all over the league.
Now, what about the chances of actually hitting your target? Any pressure?
Well, how about just hitting, the general home plate area?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that would be good. I've been practicing in the yard, but my yard's only 15 feet long. So I'm hoping I don't come up a little short.
I appreciate this, Eugene. Jason, let's throw it back to you.
That's exactly what we needed. We are out. For all of us here at the program, I'm Jason Portuondo. Thanks for the company. Enjoy the 04 opener, Jays and Tigers, up next on the net.